Tonight, the NBA is doling out a lifetime ban to Raptors forward Jontay Porter Jr. after a league investigation uncovered blatant violations of our gaming rules. Porter is accused of manipulating his own performance and tipping off bettors, which Commissioner Adam Silver commented on days ago.
Sports are built on one simple belief, that what you're watching is real. When a player misses a shot, you believe he missed it because the defense was good, because he was tired, or because pressure got to him. When a pitcher throws a bad pitch, you believe he made a mistake. When a college football player has a terrible game, you believe he was just off that night. But what happens when that belief breaks? What happens when the missed shot may have money behind it? What happens when the bad pitch may have been planned? What happens when a player leaves the game early, not because he's hurt, but because someone bet on his under? This is a nightmare American sports are now facing. Sports gambling is no longer hiding in casinos, back rooms, or illegal offshore websites. It's on your phone. It's in pregame shows, commercials, and podcasts. It's built into the culture of modern sports fandom. Now it's finding its way into the locker room. Sports gambling is not new. Before modern sports betting sites like FanDuel and DraftKings, Americans were already gambling on horse races, boxing matches, baseball games, college sports, and almost anything else with a winner and a loser. For most of American history, gambling lived in the shadows. It lived through bookies, racetracks, and private networks. Everybody knew it existed, but the major sports leagues tried to keep it far away from the official product, specifically the players. And there was a reason for that. If fans believe that the game is rigged and players aren't trying to win, the entire business collapses. Players could be controversial, owners could be greedy, teams could cheat in other ways, but gambling on games was on a whole different level. For decades, legal sports betting in the U.S. was mostly limited to Nevada. Then everything changed in 2018. The Supreme Court struck down the federal sports betting ban known as PASPA, ruling that Congress cannot simply order states to keep sports betting illegal. After that decision, states were free to legalize and regulate sports betting on their own. This opened the floodgates. Sportsbooks spread across the country, and betting apps became mainstream. Leagues that once treated gambling like poison suddenly partnered with gambling companies. Commercials promised free bets. Pre-game shows started talking about lines. Broadcasts began discussing odds, spreads, and totals like they were part of the sports itself. The language of sports changed. Fans stopped only asking who would win. Instead, they started asking questions like, what's the spread? What's the parlay? What's a player prop? And that last question may be the most dangerous of them all. Because the biggest threat to sports integrity today may not be someone fixing an entire game. It may be someone fixing only one tiny piece of it. Now, a traditional bet is simple. Who wins the game? That's hard to manipulate, especially in team sports. One player can try to play badly, but the rest of the team may still overcome it. But prop bets, they're different. A prop bet is a wager on a specific event or player performance within a game, rather than who wins. For example, betting that a player scores over 20 points is an example of a prop bet. A prop bet can be about one player's points, rebounds, assists, strikeouts, first foul, minutes played, or whether he exited a game early. That creates a new kind of vulnerability. A player may not be able to guarantee his team loses, but he might be able to make sure he finishes under a certain number of points. He might be able to avoid taking shots. He might be able to leave the game early. He might be able to throw a ball instead of a strike. He might be able to manipulate one tiny part of the game. And that's why modern gambling scandals feel different from the old ones. The old fear was rigging the final score. The new fear is rigging the stat sheet. And if every stat has a betting market attached to it, then every stat becomes a potential target. That is a world that sports has now built. The NBA has become the clearest example of how modern sports gambling can turn into a full-blown integrity crisis. First came Jontay Porter. Porter was not an NBA superstar. He was a Toronto Raptors role player fighting to stay in the league, and that is part of what made the case so alarming. In 2024, the NBA banned Jontay Porter for life after a league investigation found that he violated NBA gambling rules by disclosing confidential information to sports bettors, limiting his own participation in games for betting purposes and betting on NBA games. That case showed exactly how modern manipulation can work. You don't need big games to be rigged or for a superstar to be involved. You don't even need the final score to change. All you need is one player, one injury update, one stat line, and a betting market that's willing to take action on it. According to Reuters, Porter later pleaded guilty to a federal conspiracy charge connected to the scheme, admitting he participated while trying to deal with gambling debts. Then, the scandal got bigger. Former NBA guard Terry Rozier became part of a federal sports gambling case. Prosecutors accused Rozier of accepting a bribe to tip gamblers that he would leave a March 2023 game early or playing for the Charlotte Hornets, allowing bettors to profit from wagers tied to his underperforming stats. Rozier has not pleaded not guilty and denies any wrongdoing. Now that accusation is exactly what leagues fear the most. He only has to control his own availability, his own minutes, or his own stat line. Later on came one of the most shocking names connected to the wider gambling scandal, Chauncey Billups. Billups was not just any NBA figure. He was a Hall of Famer, an NBA champion, a Finals MVP, and the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. ESPN reported that Billups and Rozier were indicted on wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy charges, while also reporting that Billups' alleged role was tied to a broader illegal gambling investigation, including an alleged poker operation and an alleged inside information connected to an NBA game. Billups has denied wrongdoing and pleaded not guilty. That is what makes this NBA moment so damaging. It's an ecosystem involving athletes, coaches, bettors, and insiders trying to turn confidential sports information into money. Once fans hear names like Jontay Porter, Terry Rozier, and Chauncey Billups in the same gambling conversation, the issue stops feeling like a fringe problem. It starts feeling like a threat to the entire league. Now, I know this video is mainly about professional sports, but college sports may be even more exposed. College athletes are younger and many are not wealthy. Some are under financial pressure surrounded by friends, former teammates, and local gamblers who may have access to them in ways that we never even see. And even though college athletes are now allowed to make money through NIL deals, the financial gap between a star athlete and an average bench player can still be massive. This creates risk. A college basketball player who's not going pro but suddenly realizes his individual stat line is worth money to gamblers. A student athlete who has never made major money from sports may be approached by someone offering cash for information. A manager, roommate, or former teammate may become the link between the athlete and the betting market. The Fresno State case shows how desperate some athletes can be. In 2026, a former DraftKings sportsbook trader was arrested in connection with an alleged college basketball betting plot involving Fresno State guard Michael Robinson. Authorities allege that Robinson intentionally underperformed in a January 2025 game against Colorado State so that others could profit from prop bets tied to his performance. The New York Post reported that the bets produced nearly $16,000 in alleged illicit winnings, and that the NCAA permanently ruled Robinson and former teammate Steven Vasquez ineligible for sports wagering violations. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Sports leagues did not just tolerate the gambling boom, they full-on embraced it. For years, leagues warned that gambling could threaten the integrity of sports. Then once it became legal and profitable, many of those same leagues signed partnerships with sports books, sold official data, integrated odds into broadcasts, and allowed betting companies to become part of the fan experience. Sports media did the same thing. Networks built betting shows, analysts started talking like bookmakers, influencers sold picks. Fans got trained to watch games through a gambling lens. Instead of asking whether a player is good, people ask whether he will clear a certain number of points. Instead of watching a team run an offense, people worry about the same game parlay. That changes the relationship between fans and athletes. In conclusion, sports are not just entertainment. They're a trust product as well. Fans buy tickets because they trust the competition. Networks pay billings because they trust the product. And bettors gamble because they trust that the event is real. But the more gambling becomes attached to every piece of the game, the more fragile that trust becomes. The scandals point to the same problem. Modern sports betting has created too many incentives, too many markets, too much access, and too many ways for inside information to become money. The old fear was that someone would fix the game. The new fear is worse. Someone doesn't need to fix the whole game anymore. They only have to fix one moment. And if fans stop trusting the moments, eventually they stop trusting the sport. So the question is no longer whether gambling belongs in sports. The question has already been answered by billion-dollar deals, sportsbook ads, and betting apps on millions of phones. The real question is whether sports can survive the world it helps create. Like and subscribe if you like this video. Let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next.